Hi there, you are watching a previously recorded video. If you have any questions that are very specific to your brand or require assistance with legally protecting your brand, please feel free to reach out to us at www.jnjlegalservices.com. Schedule a discovery call with us to get you on the right path to success. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time seeing my face, I am Jaleesa, the alien in the room. And for all my returning subscribers, welcome back. It's nice to have you here. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than how we usually do our Alien in the Courtroom series, simply because I will be going on Instagram Live with my guest or my host, Lenese of BlackNFashion where she educates designers and her listeners on fashion and different elements of fashion industry. She talks to designers, she talks to influencers, anything relating to the fashion industry. She talks and educates her audience on that. She runs LC Apparel and Consulting, where she'll teach you actually how to design from scratch. It's really great. And she also has her own fashion line. I think it's Lenesecalleea, but there's more designs coming to that soon. And she is just a girl boss by definition. It's always great to talk to her because she's so knowledgeable in the fashion industry. And I learn from her just as much as she learns from me. So I love having this connection with her. So we're gonna go on Instagram Live. I've already been on her podcast before and I linked it on my Instagram, but I'll probably try to link it up here when I was on her podcast the first time. And this live that we're going to have in a couple of minutes is kind of going to be the same thing. We're going to talk trademark, copyright, patents, answer some viewer questions, and also a little bit about business structure. Even though that's more suited for a tax lawyer, you might learn something in this live. So stay tuned.
I think she just felt close to it because she did.
Hi.
Hi.
Don't be nervous, girl. Don't be nervous.
I'll try not to be. It's in my nature. It's just in my nature.
Your nature? Okay. So I'm like, oh my God, I was just on your page. No coincidence. See, people, they was on your page.
Oh, on my page?
Yeah, I think they're talking to you, girl. I don't know, child. But I'm going to just put this out here right now. I had a little bit to drink because I'm relaxing on this Friday.
Oh, my goodness. I wish I had a drink right now.
Girl.
Damn.
I mean, we gonna wait for
all I got.
Yeah, you got something you can quick up real quick?
All right, be back.
Okay. I mean, it's a combo. We have to wait until a couple people get in here anyway, because I'm pretty sure they got questions. So, go ahead. Yeah, that was long, y'all. Hi, guys. Drop your fashion business questions in the comment boxes. We'll answer them as they come in. I'm going to start with my initial questions. Me and Jaleesa did a live. I'm sorry, we did a podcast already. Did I say what is that? It looks so good. It's a sangria and a margarita mix. But yeah, so I'm actually gonna start with my questions. But if you guys want to just start dropping in there, we'll definitely answer them as we get to them, or try to answer them to the best of our ability. Because some things might be a little bit too personalized. So the ones that are super personalized, we won't be able to answer. But we will definitely try. But if it's like real specific, I'm gonna be honest, we can't do that real specific stuff because it just depends. So we are asking for more of a general questions that you guys may have. But yeah, so don't send us no book because we ain't gonna be able to answer it. In her container, we want that specific stuff.
You always make me laugh.
Paid information. Don't give out some jams. We gonna drop some jams. It's just all gonna be the free ones, the free stuff.
Of course.
It's acting stupid. I was trying to pull up. I'm strict, and it's crazy because, like I said, me and Jaleesa's already done a podcast. We did at the top of the year, so that everyone would get together for 2020. But I still feel like a lot of people missed that missed that podcast, or just never went back to actually view it. So we're gonna hit on. Have you tried Fabric Swatch on? This is a fashion law edition live. Y'all talking about fabric swatches.
You can answer.
Wrong lab. I'm sorry, y'all. We're not answering development questions or none of that. Like, strictly for the business structure, the business of fashion, people.
Yes. Let's talk trademark, copyright, patent.
Let's keep that in mind. So let's just start out. just introduce yourself, Jaleesa. Tell everyone a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and like what was the fuel and stuff like that made you want to become a lawyer.
No
That
problem.
with a focus on fashion.
Mm-hmm. Hi, so I'm Jaleesa, the alien in the room, as you saw on my handle. My background, I am from Barbados. My family's from Barbados, but I've always been born and raised in Brooklyn, basically. My background, I went to, sorry, I got distracted.
No worries.
I am a self-taught graphic designer. I am a intellectual property lawyer, and I am also a content creator. On my YouTube channel, I discuss like silly things like fashion, beauty, makeup, but I also have a series called the Alien in the Courtroom series, and that's actually how Lenice found me, advertising that series. That's where I teach young fashion designers or young entrepreneurs to make better legal decisions for their brand so that when problems come up in the future, they will be more aware of how to address it and can stop themselves from making problems for themselves in advance. But also, yeah, wait, I think I said everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Oh, I was saying I have my own fashion line. That's the I forgot. I have my own fashion line. And in that fashion line, I cater to eclectic women, lawyers, Black Greeks, any kind of variation of Black women. That's who I really try to cater to. So yeah.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Start with my first question, which is when you're first starting out, how crucial is it in your state or whatnot? Should it be done first, or should you wait until you start making a little revenue before you actually go ahead and incorporate LLC, sole proprietor?
Right. I do, whenever I get that question, I do think it's better to wait than to actually go ahead and start making really business legal decisions like sole proprietorship. I mean, technically, when you do start off, you are considered a sole proprietor, which means that you are working under your personal name. All the taxes and liability are attached to you, your brand, and you are considered one person, which makes you liable for any mistakes that your brand makes. You will be liable and you will be in trouble if someone tries to sue you. So I always say, like, when you're first starting out, wait until you have some real revenue before you decide on a business structure, which one you're going to pick. Because I know Lenice and I have had this conversation before that you're an escort right now. Are you still an escort?
A girl,
Yeah.
I didn't like 360, but I didn't file LC apparel until it started to make some money. I've been doing LC apparel for 3 years. I just filed it in March, i.e. 2 months ago. Beforehand, it was escort. But what I did was filed the BlackNFashion podcast, LC apparel consultant, Collier the brand, and then I turned money. Yeah, and I turned money was Super Corp, and then I put all the other LLC underneath it, and then I also filed profit.
Okay. Wow. You've done a lot.
Yeah, I did.
You've done a lot.
And the holding company, and then I filed LLCs underneath there as separate Collier Boutique, that S Corp that I allow people to buy shares of. Everything else, and then I have a non-for-profit that is on a 501c3.
Oh, okay. Okay, right. And I think for your business, it makes a lot of sense for even to have that S Corp, that super corp, because you just have so many different things going on. And you also, I assume you have I've seen you have employees, like you have payroll at this point. So like a lot of us first starting out, we don't have payroll. I'm sorry?
I said, yeah, I got 7. They still here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they on the background. Hi, y'all. They're saying we're going out. I feel like you're breaking up for me too, so I don't know who is going in and out.
Is that better?
Might be. Hopefully, they'll let us know.
Yeah. Hope is that better, guys? Let us know.
I can hear you better.
Okay. Cool. Y'all, you got your wine now, girl. Come on.
Okay.
Right, thank God it's Friday. Okay. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like you should wait because like you said, like as far as like creating like business structures and stuff like that, when you don't really know where it's gonna go, that's why I waited. Like I was in business and running my business for 2 or 3 years before I actually really to make some income. So now I'm like, okay, it's time to file everything. It's time to get everything structured. But when you first start now, you don't know because had I known now what I know then, I don't know if I would have necessarily had made Collie Agency an escort back then, but I was young and I was ambitious and I'm just like, oh, I gotta hurry up and get this done. And I didn't have anything, you know. So like, slow down and take your time.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in wanting that legal award. Like they want
like I'm official. I got a bank account with
right. Like they want something attached to it, but really work on building it first.
Would you suggest doing? We're gonna get to those in 2 seconds. I'm like, she said, would you suggest doing a DBA first? Okay, my second question is, I just want you to just slightly go over just the differences between the business structures, like the sole proprietor versus the partnership versus the LLC, the S corp, the C corp. Just hit those, and then we can hit some of the questions that are in the comments.
You know, okay, right. We'll go over that right now. So let me click on my laptop because I want to make sure I'm giving you clear definitions always. I want to make sure I'm not misstating myself. So a sole proprietorship, like we first said, like a sole proprietorship are what you are when you first start out. You haven't registered, you haven't done anything, but if you are building a business and you're working and that's attached to your bank account and all, you are considered a sole proprietor, and it doesn't offer any personal liability against, like, if your company does something wrong, you're at fault. You are liable for any losses that your company incurs, you're going to incur as well. And usually it's basically considered the same thing as filing your own personal taxes. So usually when you're talking about business structures, what is the real difference between them is your taxes. Like that's your tax advantages. So the higher you go up, I guess, the more tax advantages you do get, but you have to be aware that you are now creating a legal entity. Like you are creating something in the world that didn't previously exist before you. So it's always some kind of considered pros and cons to that. An LLC is what most people start out a business as. Like after you've been running a couple of years, you've grown, you have a little bit more revenue. You can possibly state my revenue is between $10,000 to $20,000. Most likely, you probably want to have an LLC at that point. And an LLC separates the business liability from your liability. It's two different types of taxes. It's better tax situation, obviously, because you only have to worry about the expenses of the business and not necessarily your own. It is a better tax write-off for an LLC. And do I have anything else to make sure I mention with that? But also obviously with the LLC, the price tag of the LLC changes depending on your state. New York, I think right now New York is at $200 to file an LLC. Yes. So, and I mean, you can do that yourself, or you can use LegalZoom if you're having trouble. And LegalZoom charges, I think, an extra $200 on top of that. But it is possible to do it yourself because plenty of people do it themselves, and there's tons of resources all over YouTube. For several types of LLCs, just because I saw that question quickly, there are single member LLCs where it's like you're still just one person, which is most people are probably still one person running a business, but you can have multi-member LLCs just because the same way you can have like multi-member like corps or like different corporations. So there's not necessarily like different types of LLCs. More you get different types of corporations. So different types of corporations are like S Corp and C Corp. And there's even one more that doesn't get used often. I'm blank. Oh, B Corp. And I guess maybe, and then you can also have like a nonprofit kind of goes along with corporations because the S Corp, B Corp, and C Corp, well, not the B one, but the S and C have like profit attached, and B Corp is usually just for like benefits. B Corp is usually for charities, for example. Okay, so let's go on to S Corp, and S Corp is the most difficult and the most expensive business structure, and it doesn't rely on the revenue of the business at all, but you pay taxes or you pay yourself a salary and you have to tax the salary. So the IRS requires that you're going to do a salary that is reasonable. Like if the business makes $100,000, a reasonable salary will probably be like $50,000, maybe 70. But like you can't go overboard and try to take too much from your business.
Gotcha.
And again, yeah, the tax benefit. I said the tax benefit to that. Yeah, you can. Oh, also, if you actually have an S corp, if you ever go into unemployment, you can still collect taxes from your business. You have to consult a tax lawyer to really get into the nitty gritty of that. But there is some self-employment benefit and unemployment benefit to that. And okay, I'm not going to read the questions. There was a long one. It's going to confuse me.
You all, but
Oh, and
go back to them.
yeah, we'll go back to them. And then a C corp is just, the general corporation that most people have heard of, where it has like shareholders, stocks, but like you have proxies, all of that good stuff. But it's all different types of corporations. And usually those are for the big dogs. Like you don't really need to worry about a corporation until you're like million or several hundred thousands of dollars in. Yeah.
So what would you say your comments or suggestions are when it comes to trademarking? I think I get this question a lot, and I'm just like, what are you trademarking? Because I think with trademark for certain designs, which is like it's hard to trademark a design. You could trademark like a logo, or like it has to be. I know it has to be something like in order to actually get it approved and stuff like that. It has to be like you have to be the only one in your field or in that.
Yeah.
Demand for trademarks for new designers. In my personal opinion, I say no. But I mean, what do you trademarking things?
What do I think about trademarking things?
Do you feel like you need to have it when you first start out? Like, if somebody.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear the first question.
Everyone's always talking about, how Fashion Nova steals ideas and how you protect yourself against like someone who's like a Fashion Nova that takes your ideas. Do you feel like you answer, or do you feel like it's other ways you could go about it?
You see, those are conflating two different issues. So usually trademark, like you said, how it's just like a word, a logo, a phrase, maybe a slogan. Sometimes it's product shape, sometimes it's a color, like the Louboutin red heel, like the red sole bottom. That is trademarked. So different from when Fashion Nova steals a design. Fashion Nova stealing a design, like a fashion design, you're talking about mostly copyright law. For trademark law, you're discussing a word, a phrase, right? So those two are two different types of law, technically, but they're all under intellectual property, which is what I studied. So when it comes to trademarking things, technically, you already have a trademark in whatever logo you've created, whatever slogan. You have a trademark in it locally. If you have not registered the trademark with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, you have an unregistered local trademark in your name. So say my name, I actually haven't registered it. So Alien in the Room, that is a local trademark, which usually means that I can use it within like the New York area and maybe a little bit further out, but it's a really touch and go situation. You haven't registered. So you do have a trademark as soon as something's created, and technically you also have a copyright in whatever you've created as soon as it exists too. As soon as it exists and is manifested onto paper, onto an item, you have a copyright as well. But the point is, the more registering it really helps you out. Trademark, what I was going to say about trademark also, when you mentioned it's depending on your field, a lot of people get confused, like they want to trademark they want to trademark a name. Well, yeah. First of all, you can't trademark a design. You can't do that. But they want to trademark a name, and they think that name gives. You have to remember that names apply to specific fields as well. So if you trademark the name Alien of the Room, I'm just going to keep using mine because I can't have. You know what? I'm going to say Louis Vuitton. Vuitton. Louis Vuitton is trademarked within clothing, apparel, jewelry, shoes, handbags, perfume, cosmetics, and those are all categories. But Louis Vuitton may not be trademarked within electronics, like computer technology, So you can have the same name, but different fields. And that's why things like Apple exist. Apple is trademarked within the computer tech industry, but it might not necessarily be trademarked within fashion. And that's why these companies often have the same name. I always think about Dove soap and Dove chocolate are not owned by the same company. And that freaked me out. I was just like, I thought they was the same. The logo kind of looks similar to me. Two different companies. And that's because they're in two different industries.
Right.
So that's what trademark is. You have to pay attention to the industry that you're trademarking your word in. And it cannot be it can't be a word that everybody needs to have access to. You can't trademark the word apple within the food industry because everybody needs to have access to use the word apple. Like they need to describe, I'm selling apples. So, you know, like, you can't just have it a mononymy and monopolize one word. But if I was using my name like Jaleesa Johnson in the fashion industry, there's probably nothing out there like that, and I can have a monopoly on my name. And the only other thing I just want to warn people, I always try to warn young designers about this, because I feel like young designers love to name their clothing lines after themselves. Just be aware that whenever your clothing line does make millions of dollars and you go ahead and share it out to multiple partners or whoever buys it, you no longer own your name. And some people really don't like that. If once you sell your company, like Kate Spade basically lost her name when she sold her company. So there are things you can do you can change your legal name afterwards, after you've lost your company. But just letting you know, like, after you've created this business with your name, you can technically lose your name once you sell it out. And that means you cannot make any more products with your own name attached to it. You can't say this clothing line is by Kate Spade. It's done. Damn. You can't do it. It's done.
How does that happen though, Julie? So what they happen? They sell too many shares and they lose like the controlling vote in the company. Is that how that happens? Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, it's because they're having S corps and C corps. They're selling too many shares to try to get in funding, and then they lose the entire controlling vote, and then they might eventually get voted out, or their vote doesn't count anymore. So that's pretty much how that happens.
And then when they go to start a new business, because a lot of them want to go back into the industry, you can't market your new business with your name anymore. It's done.
Damn.
They don't want you to compete with like your previous brand. It's done. So that's trademark. I'm sorry, that was long and winded, but I want to make sure.
I want to make sure they understand that, because when I tell you that's a common question, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't have no trademarks or nothing. Like, I don't know. It wasn't for me like a big deal to have. Like, I'm like, I just did my business. Somebody gonna steal my name, then to me the invitation is the best form of flattery. I do not care. But I do not go in and focus in on no trademarks or nothing else. Right. Like, I do not care about stuff like that. Like, I just don't. Like, I'm just like,
and then technically you still have a trademark. You just not registered. It's just not registered. And for copyright, when we were talking about Fashion Nova, copyright refers to pictorial, graphic, sculptural, literary, music, art that exists, and it has to be like tangible, that exists in the environment. So when you hear a song on the radio, obviously you know it exists. So that person does have a copyright on their work as soon as it exists. And just because you don't register it doesn't mean that you can't sue someone for stealing your work. You can still sue.
That's good to know.
It's not being registered. Right. That's really good. But while you're suing, you have to go through the process of registering it. So you can still do it at the same time. And copyright usually doesn't come up too often in fashion, because we discussed this even in the last podcast that we did together. Copyright isn't something that usually allows for fashion innovation necessarily. Like, fashion innovation should be patented. Like, if you came up with new fabric,
something that holds your body in and pull moisture away from the skin and keep you warm at the same.
Right, it has to be something really
that
novel.
Chemistry or whatever that you use to formulate and make that fabrication. Now
that's a patent. Yeah. But copyright, the way that copyright doesn't want you to have control over the cut of a garment, of the style of the garment. Everybody needs to have access to that. So usually copyright can be your monogram. Like, if you have your monogram all over a shirt, it's still going to be copyrighted because the monogram is copyrighted, technically. You know what I mean? So when you have like fake Gucci all over the place and fake Louis at Chinatown, those are copyright infringement, because, you know, the logo and everything is all over it. But copyright is really hard to get in the fashion world, and it mostly applies. You can find cases mostly in jewelry or like accessories, but not necessarily cloth. Yeah.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. How important would you say, I guess, NDAs are? Because I find that, like, a lot of the new designers, they're working with manufacturers, they're working with sample makers, they're working with pattern makers. And I was like, how do I protect my designs? You know, how do I not get people to copy my designs? For me and my business, I'm always just, I send out NDAs, and I don't even send out NDAs. I send out contracts just so they understand the way I work and how my structure works. But it's like when someone says me an NDA, I'm just in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't want your damn design. Like,
Right,
I just, I see so much of it, but I know it's more important to them that they have someone, have it signed or whatever, so they feel better about it. But I'm always just like, and then factories, they're not gonna deal with that. You ask a factory to sign an NDA, then be like, boy, like they gonna be like, literally, like, I'm straight, like I'm not working with you. But for me, for my business, I have NDAs with my factories, stuff like that. But that's something that I spoke to them about because I have a good relationship with them. So going through the door, I would have never said that. You got people I've been working with for a couple of years. I just had a conversation like, yo, I got a lot of clients now, a lot of designers, like they don't feel like they're protected. So I have an NDA with my vendors and my factories. But if I was to take an NDA from one of my clients and present it to one of my factories, they would look at me like I was crazy. Like that ass. Like
they're gonna look at you like you're crazy.
They're like,
at least what? Me talking to like factory, they're going to look at you like what? I think a lot of times people think that their ideas are like, I know that we
like
all
it's so different.
Yeah, but right.
I'm gonna do like this. Like it's so different.
But in the eyes of the law, it really isn't that novel.
In the eyes of a manufacturer who has seen it all. So that, y'all have to think about it from that way. Like, yeah, you have this idea, but if I've been making a manufacturer who has ran a factory for years on years, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. What is NDA? A non-disclosure agreement. Somebody just wrote that.
Yeah. I was just gonna
right. So like we've seen it all. Like for me too, I've seen it all, and I haven't even been in business that long, but I've seen it all. I don't want your designs. I don't care. I'll sign your NDA if it's gonna make you happy or whatever. But having an NDA in China is not useful. A person in China is not signing your NDA. I'm gonna tell you that straight up. Like, nobody is signing your NDA. They're gonna take your money and ignore you. And their factory is magically gonna shut down, and then they're gonna be missing in action.
Damn.
That happens all the time. I've heard so many horror stories. It's like, it's probably because you told them to sign an NDA.
No,
probably should have just left them alone.
That's really real. Well, I don't know what kind of factories you're contacting in China.
Right. I don't know. Right. Yeah. So it's hard to answer that specific question. Yeah.
Right. But I know on like if you're going through like AliExpress and Alibaba, like the factories will say, we'll keep it discreet. You know, we won't tell anybody your designs. Like it'll be in the caption that we're discreet and we won't tell anyone. And for the most part, I mean, you're working with factories that are necessarily keeping up with the same standards that U.S. American standards with. And especially because you have to remember the law here isn't going to be the law there. So you have to worry about international law at that point. And now you got to get a lawyer that's versed in Chinese law and American law.
Exactly.
Come up. It's just a way too much of a headache. Like it's just not really going to work. So, yeah, I know NDAs really aren't going to run that well in the fashion industry.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were good in other industries, but not so much.
Yeah,
in the
not
fashion
so
industry.
much.
Yeah. So now I just scroll back up. I just scroll back up so I can see some other people's comments. So one of them says, "Does a common law trademark really work?" So I'm not even sure what a common law trademark is.
The common law trademark is what I was discussing. Someone.
Okay, so do it work? Let's say, does it work?
Yeah. Okay. Common law it's going to be rare circumstances. I mean, I feel like usually when you have just a common law let me just explain what it is. Common law trademark is the trademark that I was describing before. Like it's unregistered, but it exists because you created something and you're doing business under it. So a common law trademark, maybe it would work in limited areas. It depends, I guess, maybe on how the court is going to address it. It might just be local to New York if anyone tries to take your designs, or not your design, but your name.
Or
it could be the whole of the United States, or maybe like just the northeastern region. It's just really dependent. It's not a lot of cases on that. So I mean, if you do want to go ahead and register the trademark, and you're protecting yourself in the whole country. So like there's no limited access, no limited use, the whole country.
Gotcha.
I'm listening. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm listening though.
All right. Would you suggest a DBA first? I never understood that neither. So yeah, she's gonna break that down when she get back. Would you suggest doing a DBA first, or doing business as, and I guess putting the business as another name? Is that what
you know? What the thing is, I think the doing business as is really common in California. I wanted to ask that person if they're in California.
She's not. That's actually one of my clients, and she's in New York. She's in upstate New York.
She's in upstate New York. Yeah,
She's
I
upsetting
don't
you.
think
Yeah.
a lot of people don't really take that option. I would
I
say,
don't see the
so
point of that. I was just trying to, I've seen it before, like, but you know what? I'm going to take it back. Okay. So when I first started doing LC apparel consulting, I still had it under the Collier Boutique, to me, I guess, umbrella, because that business itself was registered. So when I was filling out documentation, I was putting Collier Boutique because Collier Boutique had the EIN number, but I was saying doing business as LC apparel consultant because I hadn't registered LC apparel consultant yet. So maybe it's if you started off with one structure and then you end
yeah.
up changing it. So I started off as a designer brand. Then when I decided I didn't want to design no more and I went through the education and the conversation, I didn't want to have to go backwards. So for it was a big period of time where I was Collier Boutique Inc. but doing business as LC apparel consultant. So I guess that's, to me, a DBA is like when you change the name or change the structure of the business, but you don't want to reincorporate. That's how I thought about it, but I don't know if I'm right about that.
Yeah, I can't say I have a lot of experience with DBAs either, because I just think most like fashion designers, they just go straight from sole proprietor to LLC. Like we don't really recommend. I haven't had a lot of personal experience with that, but usually we recommend for like young designers. Whenever we had young designers come to us and we would help them build their business from scratch, we would always like go through an LLC and then we would pick where we're going to incorporate. We incorporating in Delaware, we incorporating in New York, trying to find the better tax information for them. But I don't think necessarily you need a DBA if you're going to use an LLC. Like an LLC is its own business name. I'm not sure why.
I guess if you was doing like I don't know. Well, no, that wouldn't make sense either. Never mind. So I feel like it kind of ties into this next question. If you plan on starting more than one business in the future, what structure do you recommend starting with? Can you change the structure in the future?
Oh yeah. Your structure you can change your structure in the future.
And if you plan on doing more than one business, would you suggest that someone start with like more of an S corp if they plan on having like a whole bunch of stuff underneath like that one umbrella?
That's an interesting question, because a lot of times, most of the time, like people just start out, like just form a whole bunch of LLCs and then they'll come up with like a big name,
like a holding company,
a holding company afterwards. I don't think either way. I don't know if one is better than the other. But I would just, I guess me personally, I would just go ahead and do the LLCs, like just LLC holding, like, and you can still restructure it later. The whole point of this is that your business can always change structure. Like you're not pigeonholed into one thing. I think only after you become a C corp is when you can't go back. Like I think after you become a C corp, you can't go back to the previous ones. But usually LLC, yeah, those are a little pretty flexible, so you can move around. From what I know.
Gotcha.
I hope.
Well, this is somebody who's trying to get business with you. Do you work with clients in other states for copyright and trademark protection?
Oh man, you looking out. Thank you. I wish I did. Right now, I need clients everywhere. Right now I am going to be registered in New York. I think it's coming up within a couple weeks though, because I actually just finally got to talk with the New York committee that's in charge of handing me my license. And it seems like they're going over the application now. So I should be able to take clients maybe in like 2-3 weeks, hoping. But right now I'm going to only be registered in New York. So you have to be New York based for me to really work with you. Or I would have to work with someone within your state. So me and that person would have to like tag team together to help you.
Gotcha. It says, what's wrong with asking for an NDA? I just pretty much explained that. It's an amateur thing, I'm going to be honest with you, because it's like when you come to a manufacturer, or if you ask for an NDA with a manufacturer, we have seen so many designs. We don't want your designs, if that makes sense. Like, so asking us to sign an NDA is just like, we really don't care. It's just like, when you start off like that and you think that someone's trying to take something from you, you're already putting that bad juju right there. And with that bad juju, that's already a bad business start to the thing when you think that somebody's going to take your design. We don't care. And I'm speaking for my business. I'm speaking for my vendors. Like, you know how many different apparel brands come in and out? Us signing the NDA to say we're not going to steal your designs. We are creative in our own ways. We don't need your designs. So to us, it's an amateur move. So that honestly, that's the best way I can explain it. To us, it's just like, you can tell this person just started out. And then that's what tears manufacturers from wanting to work with you, is because it's like, you have no clue what you're doing. Because if you was a little bit more versed or a vet in the industry, that wouldn't be no never mind to you. You'd be moving forward. Because a manufacturer don't care about you. What you need to worry about is a Fashion Nova stealing your ideas not a manufacturer. A manufacturer is not stealing your ideas. If somebody gonna come to them and give them patterns to get them the design, they just making it. We just making it. Manufacturers just making it. We not selling it. We not promoting it. We not doing none of that. You need to have your issues with the person that's who's promoting it out there, selling it, not the person who's just doing the cutting and sewing of it. Like, we don't care. We making our money off the cutting and sewing. We don't care about the design.
Listen, I feel like the rule number one should be that, you have to, like, if you're a designer, you got to keep moving. If someone copies your design, you got to move on to the next one. These designers don't bother wasting time going after, like, Chinatown, going after all the little guys that are copying.
They copying Louis Vuitton and Chanel, and you think you gonna get any better? Like, I'm just being honest. There are the reason Chinatown exists is for Project 5. See you next week. The reason why Chinatown exists is because they're copying high-end designers. So you think that you starting out that someone's gonna steal your designs and that it's gonna it just don't work that way. I'm sorry guys, no one cares.
I know, and we all want to be optimistic about our designs because we think that our designs are the shit, but like it doesn't.
It doesn't. Like, we all think our designs are the shit. We like, oh, I don't want to buy a silly, but at the end of the day, from a manufacturer standpoint, they've seen it all. If you want to sign an NDA with maybe a boutique or a retailer that's selling your merchandise and you don't want anything that's like your merchandise there or sitting next to your merchandise as competition, then that's I feel like you could do that like as an agreement. Like, okay, I don't want anyone who's in my market or my competitor directly next to me within the store.
Right.
That's something that you can like throw an NDA on. There, you could throw an NDA on a boutique owner or a retailer for that. But a manufacturer, you're barking up the wrong tree. It says any legal advice for the ones producing and manufacturing new brands. I feel like this whole conversation is about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, this whole conversation is all about new designers and like what you should think about. Don't necessarily have to LLC or S corp or anything right away. Wait till you start making some money. Don't start asking manufacturers when you first start out to sign NDAs. You can change the structure of your business at any point, but just take your time and not do it on the front end. That way you don't have to go back and restructure your business.
Yeah.
When trying to register, it's a long one. When trying to register a business name, will you be notified if there's a business name that is too close to yours, or is it up to you to do your due diligence to make sure that you are no other names? It is up to you to do your due diligence.
Well, I mean, honestly, with everything you do, you need to do due diligence, but they will tell you that you are rejected because of this. But you know what? Again, it's not
depending on the industry.
Depending on the industry, of course. But again, it's not about the business being too close to yours. It has to be too close to yours within the same industry. And for a trademark is for the word is exactly as you write it down. So if you wrote down, if someone wrote down Girl Boss and Girl Boss is with BOSS, and then someone wrote down Girl Boss, well, that one kind of sounds too similar. Let me think of another one.
GURL boss instead of like GIRL.
Those two sound the same, so those can create a problem, but there's still different words. Technically, they were different spellings, but it will still create that problem. So yeah, it can't be similar like that. It can't be the same sound that it will make, but there are companies out there who kind of are like different names, like I don't know if I'm explaining that properly. I hope I'm not tongue twisting myself, but you will be notified it was rejected because it was too similar. But you definitely want to do your due diligence, like check. You can do a Google check, obviously, your social media check, and then you can do a test check yourself. It's called a test search. The test search, you can just type it into Google, TESS search, or the website. One is Justicia that has like a test search engine, and the other one is, what's the name right now? Oh, well, testing obviously on the USPTO. And when you do the test search, you type in the word that you're trying to trademark, and then you make sure you check the industry and which ones are alive and which are dead. But yes, you can do your own due diligence that way. Be careful. Just be careful.
Be careful.
Because I'm like, I don't know, similar name that worries me.
This one, to get a wholesale license, you can apply for a resale license in any state. You just have to fill out the information. They're gonna ask you for your EIN number and what you're selling and stuff like that. But that is not something you have to have go through like a lawyer or a legal thing to do. You literally just gotta file for it after you register your business.
Right. Oh, just to answer that last question, test search. Yeah, like research is the same thing, but test search. Not, you don't have to do research. Type that into Google, and then you can type in what you're looking for that way, like the trademark word or word you're trying to trademark. So it's got the fashion. I'm like,
maybe we shouldn't have got the alcohol involved. No,
girl. No, the thing is, I'm just a very anxious person to start with, so it would have been me like this anyway. I got the fashion law book you recommended. Any chapters that I should pay attention to? At what point do I need to contact a lawyer? Oh, I'm so glad you got the book. I'm so glad.
Right? Also, whoever that was listen to the podcast.
Right.
You go, girl.
That person is getting like a recap of everything. Any chapters that you should pay attention to. I wish I had the book right now.
All of them.
Yeah.
Every chapter, all of it is crucial.
Yeah, well, I mean, all of it is basically the fashion designer's guide to fashion law. Like, it's so great. I think maybe I would always pay attention to like the introduction. What is the podcast called? The Black and Fashion Podcast is episode 41 is with me, I believe. Episode 41. And the book that I am talking about is The Fashion Law. I might actually run and get it. I feel like I want to run and get it.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go run and get it.
Yeah, let her go on and get it. Sorry, you're having a virtual. Where do I find good manufacturers to produce a garment? You can always come on the NYC Garment District Tour to find yourself good manufacturers. I got the fashion law. Oh, yeah, that was the one she was just reading. Test research. Is there anything you could do if you have a business DBA and someone is using your name on an unused Instagram account? If they're not using it, I mean, that's another shit that you could do about legally or whatever. That I don't know about that one. That sounds like a weird question. Is there anything you could do if you have a business DBA and someone is using it on your? That's the thing. Instagram is not law driven. I guess I feel like you can do whatever you want to do on Instagram. So it's just like you can't stop somebody from having a certain name on Instagram. Like all you're gonna do is for yourself. If you got to change, you better add an underscore or a slash or something like that in there. But it's really nothing you can do about Instagram because Instagram is not legal driven. Like you could put any like people make celebrity fake pages all the time and they use their names. You know, so it's like what can you do about that? I'm sorry guys, but ain't nothing you can do about that. Podcast is called Black and Fashion. What's the name of the book? She's got it
right here. So this is
the book. Fashion Law.
And it says A Guide for Designers, Fashion Executives, and Attorneys. This is the book that fashion lawyers basically learn out of. So you would have the same textbook that any other fashion lawyer is going through. This is one of the books. And actually, this new one just came out. This is The Law to Design. Honestly,
I'm going to have to get that.
This one is great. This one is
like that one more than that one?
The Holy Grail. This one is the Holy Grail. This one mostly like has a lot of cases, but this one is actually advice to fashion designers or how, I guess, telling you how the industry really runs, how it works. Sometimes it'll like pinpoint some cases that are example that can like explain the concept more properly. I would always pay attention to for the person who asked, I would always pay attention to like the first part, like the scope of your protection, because a lot of times most people's questions are wondering how they can protect their designs. So always use like this chapter 2 is about trademark and trade dress. Like you can always read just the first couple of pages, and that's like your introduction to trademark and how it works. That's the scope of your protection coming up, and selecting a strong trademark is like right after it. So maybe the first 10 pages of each chapter is the really good stuff. And the other things, I mean, throughout the book, you'll see, like, I guess this is more so for lawyers, but if you pay attention to the practice tips, that would help you know what lawyers pay attention to as well. So if you can't afford a lawyer, you can pay attention to the practice tips, and that obviously is the same thing, you know, like, save yourself some money technically. But yeah, this is a great book. It's by Professor Barbara Colson. She's like the OG in fashion law.
The OG.
She started the OG. Like she worked with she started Kate Spade. She was like the first lawyer for Kate Spade. She was the first employer for so many companies. Seven for All Mankind.
I love them. Okay.
Yeah, the jeans. I was like,
I'm like one of my faves.
You're for a lot of different companies. So she had a hand in this book, and this is the book you want to get if you want to help your fashion company out. Definitely. I'm sorry, there's been a lot of questions.
Would it be good to use Printful to start off for my t-shirts and then sign up for product development? I mean, I guess, if you're doing t-shirts, you don't really need product development. It's just a t-shirt and a graphic. You don't necessarily have to go through the product development process. You spend a lot of money that way.
Yeah, girl, that's what I'm doing. If
right.
you want,
she's like, you can do that. Can you get in trouble for using fonts that are similar to popular brands? Example, the Barbie font or the Pepsi font.
I love that question because this was even like a question for me because I definitely wanted to use the Barbie font. So technically, a lot of companies out there shouldn't be using the Barbie font, and a lot of people are. I think the font industry, for the most part, you can go under the radar with fonts because a lot of companies aren't out there actively policing that you're using their font. Gotcha. But technically, the font belongs to an artist. So if a shirt really does blow up, or whatever you put that font on, and it really does blow up out of nowhere, and everybody has that, and then all of a sudden the author of the font realizes, hey, that's my font. Like, I know it has to be my font. Then they can sue you and get part of the profit. A lot of times when you're downloading fonts online, they have like a license. You can do a free license or a commercial license. So a commercial license, honestly, is the best way to use fonts, but a lot of people are getting away with it. The fashion industry isn't easy to regulate at all, and there's so much out there. Compared to music, like YouTube has all these algorithms that pick up on the sounds, but fashion, pretty much, you could get away with things and you would never know. Like, people would never know.
And it just keep creating, making things. Like, don't get, distracted or bothered by what other people are doing. Keep doing you.
Yeah.
Why don't you design anymore? Oh, because I design and Lisa design.
Yeah.
I don't know who does. We both design, so maybe we got a little miscommunication there. I was just like, we both design. I design every day. What's the name of the second? Somebody said, what's the name of the second book? Oh, Miss Catwalk. Hey, girl.
This is The Law of Design, Patent, Trademark, and Copyright. This is kind of like a case book. So it's mostly about this is cases. This is literally like cases. Fashion cases.
Is that Christian Louboutin and YSL one in there? Okay. That's a good one to read.
All of the popular fashion cases are in here. I mean, this might not be the best for fashion designers because I doubt you want to sit there and read fashion cases, but this book did just come out and it has a lot of like pivotal fashion cases in here, and you can possibly find a case that might answer your question for you. But this one is more like bullet points, quick checklist, and like a little bit of an intro, a friendly user intro, compared to like a lawyer having to read this kind of.
Makes sense. I want to add more pieces with my line, not just t-shirts. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I hope they got the title. The Law of Design, Patent, Trademark, and Copyright. And one of the authors is Edward Lee. And then it should hopefully come up.
Yeah, I'll screenshot that. I mean, we're going to share the live too and we'll save it. But yeah, screenshot that. I also want to add more pieces with my line, but not just t-shirts. Then you should sign up for product development. So anything you want to develop besides t-shirts, then yes, you should definitely book a conversation for that.
But Printful has a lot more than just t-shirts, by the way, because I don't know how far
I'm still using that.
Right. I don't know how far you want to go, but there are a whole, obviously you've seen the catalog. You've probably seen the catalog, but the catalog has a lot of different things. So there is more than just, t-shirts, but yeah, eventually you might end up outgrowing Printful, but you have to bear in mind that you're using Printful because it's easy and accessible, and you don't have to have the stock on you, and everything gets shipped out. So pros and cons, yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I thought you just made clothes for other people. Yeah, that's one of my businesses, but I got like 4. I still make clothes for myself, but I don't feel that there's a rush to put things out just to be putting things out. So I make clothes and I create collections when I'm feeling creative, when I'm in the mode on my own time. So I don't rush to put out collections all the time, or I'm not on anybody else's season. I put shit out when I feel like putting out shit.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Okay. For others, people's brands, purchase. But I because I can make clothes and it's just so accessible to me. Like I just feel like I make them when I'm creative, so I don't have like this rush or this push to do anything that doesn't make me creative. I like helping people. I like teaching. I like coaching. So that's more of on the forefront than when it comes to my designing. I'll design when I'm creative, when I'm feeling creative and stuff. So I still design. That's how I'm able to help other people design. For sure. All right. Yes, a lot of items. How or where can I get my own t-shirt tag labels made? That is not a fashion law question, but it's okay. Go to Wonder Labels or go to DutchLabels.com, or you could just Google hang tag, care labels, main label, and a whole bunch of label companies will just pop up. Oh, thank you. Somebody else actually answered it already. It was like Dutch Label.
Okay.
What would you say the differences are between being a fashion designer and being a product developer? Are they different or the same? It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same. A fashion designer and a product developer is the same. Like, it's got different titles for different things. A product developer has a little bit more technical skills, I think, than a designer has. A designer has more like design, aesthetic, and cashiers, whereas a product developer has more construction-based skills. But a product developer can be a fashion designer, and a fashion designer can be a product developer. I would label myself as both. I have experience in both. I have degrees in both. I can do both. So it really don't matter. I didn't know fashion lawyers, intellectual law were a thing. So I'm interested in that field now. That was the goal, because it's not enough Black women in the fashion law field. So I hope that you guys know that there is a whole program for it. It is a business that there is a lack of Black women in that area, and it's definitely something you can jump into if you're interested in, law and politics and fashion, for sure. So yes, do it, please. We need a lot of them. Lisa can't handle all these cases by herself.
We
need some help.
You know what? If you do actually want to talk seriously about it, just email me. It's also like alienintheroom@gmail, and I can talk a little bit more about it with you. But yes, intellectual property law, it's a thing. It's great. Intellectual property law concerns anything. Well, it's copyright, it's trademark, it's patents, but it's also internet law, it's social media law, it's privacy law, and all of those things are just kind of connected, and they're interestingly. I just think that it's the best kind of law. Why would you want to do anything else?
Right. Do you or anyone you know host sketching classes? No, I'm sorry. I don't know anyone. I don't, but you can look on YouTube. With the product development, do you help with all seasons, and do you coach as well within the course? You need to go to lenesecalleea.com and read LC Apparel courses, LC Apparel mentorship, LC Apparel services, and that will answer all your questions about everything that I offer, and what you can get out of it. Or you can book a consultation. I can help with that as well. But this is our fashion law live, so let's keep it in the fashion law sectors. And any of your product development questions, you can email me, or you can book a consultation if you want more information. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were only doing law questions. I apologize. I tuned in late. No worries.
No problem.
Thank you. Yeah, y'all good. I'm just, just letting y'all know. We only got 4 minutes left anyway. And then like if it takes too long, it won't let you save the live. So I feel like we answered everyone's questions. Definitely we'll save this live and throw it out there. Jaleesa definitely dropped like a whole bunch of gems. You can always go back to our podcast, which is episode 41. It's very informative and literally has a lot of the information that me and Jaleesa talked about today. It's a little bit more in depth. I feel like we was talking. Like I feel like it's a little bit more on there for sure. But
this is quick.
Right, I'm like, this is a little quick, but it's a lot more information there. Can you tell them what school you went to, Jaleesa, so they know for the fashion law? Yeah.
They mean law school? Yeah.
Yeah, the fashion law.
Okay, for fashion law. Okay. Well, technically, I guess for fashion law, a lot of people come to New York for it because it just seems like this is the school. I went to Cardozo University, so Benjamin and Cardozo School of Law, not university, Benjamin and Cardozo School of Law. That's in New York, 14th Street. You could also go to, obviously Columbia, any of the Ivy Leagues, they'll have it, but they might not necessarily have fashion law. They might just have like copyright, trademark, patent, but they might not necessarily have the fashion law class. In the fashion law class, people, I'm not gonna lie, people seek out Professor Barbara Colson, who wrote this book that I showed you guys before, and she teaches at Cardozo, and she's technically my mentor. Like, so people really want to go to law school. If you're really interested in fashion law, you want to go to Cardozo. She's an alumni of Cardozo as well, and she's just connected. She's the boss. Like, she's just so OG. I don't know what else
She's
to
the
say.
boss.
She's like Devil Wears Prada. Like, she's that. She's Anna Wintour. She's that.
Okay. All right, Barbara Colson. You better come through, sis.
She don't play. She don't play.
Okay, well, Jalissa, thank you so much for doing this with me tonight. I hope you guys, had your notebook and your paper and you learn how to get your business structures together, and just think about just like not rushing into it. Because like I said, even for me, I started out as a designer and then I shifted into LC apparel consulting and doing podcasts and other things. So don't feel pressured to have everything done right away. Like, I got an LLC, I got to do this. Like, take your time. Get into your business, grow into your business, and then like make those decisions. Jalissa, you got anything to add?
No, I love that. That was a great recap. Make sure everybody take your time. Take your time. Like, you don't have to have all the bells and whistles put together right now. Like, take your time.
Just keep being creative.
Keep being creative. Yeah. You know what? If anything, my YouTube series is kind of giving you advice before you even reach the legal steps. Like, it's like the beginner advice, kind of, before you reach that point where you need to like make an LLC or do anything like that. It's really just giving you things to think about in the future. So that's the whole point of the podcast. But you can take, not podcast, the YouTube, but you can take your time.
Yes, please take your time, learn your craft, buy an LC mug. It says "Learn your craft" and drink out of it every day. I'm like, and drink out of that mug every day that says "Learn your craft," because that's most important. Like, a lot of the questions that I found in the comments were questions that you guys could Google, read, and do your research on. Do not wait for us to do a live to get the information that you need. Definitely go out there and seek the information that you need. Google is a powerful tool, and utilizing podcasts and utilizing Jalissa's YouTube and really getting out there and seeking the information. Like, if you put that shit in on Google, it does pop up.
It comes up.
Podcast pops up. Her shit pops up. Like, it's so much information out there, but you gotta go out there and seek it. Don't wait for a live to happen. It's just like, oh, let me hurry and ask all my questions. I need to know about this business. No, go out there and really take your time and educate yourself in the process and all of it. And it'll just make you a better business person, businesswoman, businessman. Just make you an all around better designer, all around. So just do your homework, learn your craft. At the end of the day,
homework, obviously.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Jalissa. You have a good night, darling. I ain't gonna take up no more of your time because I'm about to knock it out.
What? I finished my wine too, so we're gonna go get some
Cheers
more.
Cheers to that, girl.
It was nice talking to you guys.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, bye. So that is the end of our Instagram live. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. Hopefully it answered some of your questions. If you did have that question and you just never asked me before, feel free to follow the Black and Fashion Podcast, LC Apparel and Consulting. I think lenesecalleea has one too. If not, everything will be on the screen, all corrections. Feel free to follow her. She is a boss. I told you, she's great. She's great. She's just very knowledgeable. If you have any further questions, please feel free to leave them down below in the comment section, because your question can possibly be my next video, or I might just address it really quickly for you in the comment section. But your questions matter, and it helps me out to know what's troubling you. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.